The moment the whisper started, the palace walls seemed to shake, not because of what was publicly announced, but because of what people believed was hiding beneath the surface. A report had exploded across royal watcher circles, and suddenly one question was everywhere: had a long-buried scandal finally returned to haunt Meghan Markle at the exact moment she could least afford it? What began as another uncomfortable headline quickly transformed into something much bigger, a fierce battle involving reputation, power, money, and a royal family that appeared increasingly unwilling to stay silent.
I've always felt very strongly about it, and I've been watching very carefully what others have been doing.
The story erupted when a sensational report claimed that questions surrounding borrowed designer fashion had triggered a storm unlike anything Meghan had faced in years. Almost overnight, social media detectives, royal commentators, and fashion insiders began digging through old stories, searching for clues, patterns, and forgotten incidents. What they found, or believed they found, only poured gasoline onto an already raging fire. Suddenly, discussions were no longer focused on a single controversy. Instead, people began connecting dots, stretching back years, creating a narrative that painted an increasingly troubling picture. And that was when the pressure intensified. The public reaction was swift, emotional, and relentless. Every old rumor seemed to reappear at once. Every disputed story found a new audience. Every unanswered question became another piece of a growing mystery. Critics claimed there had always been warning signs. Supporters argued that Meghan was once again being unfairly targeted. But regardless of which side people stood on, one thing was impossible to deny: the conversation was growing louder by the hour. As speculation spread, attention shifted toward the fashion world itself. Luxury brands, image consultants, and celebrity insiders suddenly became central characters in the unfolding drama. The report suggested that major fashion figures had grown increasingly frustrated behind the scenes. Whether those claims were accurate hardly mattered anymore. The perception alone was creating chaos. Online discussions exploded with theories about private disagreements, damaged relationships, and closed doors that once seemed permanently open. Then came the financial questions. Those questions transformed the controversy from an embarrassing public relations headache into something far more serious. Rumors began circulating that enormous financial consequences could be looming. Numbers were thrown around, estimates multiplied, headlines became more dramatic. With every new article, the image of Meghan standing confidently before cameras seemed to clash with reports describing growing pressure behind closed doors. And according to the narrative spreading across media circles, desperation creates dangerous decisions. Observers began speculating about what options remained available. Could damaged relationships be repaired? Could public opinion be reversed? Could influential allies still be persuaded to step forward? Or had the situation already progressed beyond rescue? That is where the royal family entered the story once again. For years, the relationship between Meghan, Prince Harry, and the monarchy had generated endless headlines. Every interview, every statement, every silence carried enormous weight. Now, as this latest controversy grew larger, attention naturally turned toward the palace. People wanted answers. More importantly, they wanted reactions. But the reaction they received was silence. And sometimes silence is louder than words. The absence of immediate public support sparked a new wave of speculation. Why wasn't anyone speaking? Why wasn't anyone defending her? Why wasn't anyone attempting to calm the growing storm? To royal watchers, the silence itself became a clue. Every hour without a statement generated even more theories. Meanwhile, reports suggested that Meghan was facing mounting pressure from every direction: public scrutiny, media criticism, questions about credibility, questions about influence, questions about the future of the Sussex brand itself. That last detail fascinated observers more than anything else, because the Sussex brand was never just a title. It had become a symbol, a business asset, a public identity, a source of influence. And according to increasingly dramatic speculation, it was now being discussed as part of a much larger power struggle. Suddenly, rumors began circulating that behind-the-scenes conversations were taking place. Alleged messages, alleged negotiations, alleged attempts to find solutions before the situation spiraled even further out of control. Whether those conversations actually occurred remained unclear, but the rumors alone fueled an entirely new chapter of the story. Then came the most explosive twist. Whispers began spreading that Prince William had become aware of developments unfolding behind palace walls. If true, it would mean the future king was no longer merely observing events from a distance. It would mean he was actively evaluating a situation that many believed threatened to create another major royal crisis. And if there is one thing palace insiders always repeat, it is this: when Prince William decides to act, he rarely acts halfway. The atmosphere surrounding the royal feud grew even darker as speculation reached a fever pitch. Every newspaper headline seemed more explosive than the last. Every television panel claimed to possess exclusive information. Every anonymous source appeared to know something the public did not. Yet beneath all the noise, one question continued haunting royal watchers across the world. Who would make the next move? As rumors swirled, attention increasingly focused on Prince William. Commentators described him as calm on the surface, but deeply aware of the damage that endless public disputes were causing to the monarchy. While others chased headlines, William appeared determined to project stability. But in royal circles, stability can be a powerful weapon. Meanwhile, Meghan found herself at the center of another media storm. Whether fair or unfair, every story seemed to lead back to her. Critics dissected her every move. Supporters argued she was being unfairly targeted. The divide became larger than ever. The debate was no longer simply about one controversy. It had become a battle over reputation, influence, and competing versions of the truth. Behind palace gates, advisors reportedly worried about a different problem entirely. The longer the feud continued, the more attention it attracted. Every public disagreement generated new headlines. Every rumor produced another round of speculation. The institution itself risked becoming trapped inside a cycle of endless drama. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of escalating the conflict, senior royal figures allegedly began discussing ways to draw a firm line under the chaos. Sources claimed that private conversations focused on protecting the future rather than reliving old battles. The objective was simple: stop the story from controlling the monarchy. But the public was not ready to move on. Social media exploded with theories. Old interviews resurfaced. Forgotten photographs reappeared. Every small detail was examined like evidence in a massive investigation. People who had never met any member of the royal family suddenly spoke with complete certainty about hidden motives and secret plans. And that is when the situation became truly dangerous. Because once a narrative takes hold, facts often struggle to keep pace with speculation. Observers began noticing a pattern. The more dramatic the rumors became, the more attention they received. The quieter voices disappeared beneath waves of sensational headlines. Every claim generated another claim. Every theory produced an even bigger theory. For William, the challenge was obvious. The future king could not spend every day fighting rumors. Yet he also could not ignore a controversy threatening to dominate public discussion. Palace insiders claimed he believed the monarchy's greatest strength was patience. Time, they argued, would reveal which stories survived and which collapsed beneath their own weight. For Meghan, the pressure remained intense. The spotlight never moved away. Cameras followed every appearance. Commentators analyzed every expression. Even silence became a headline. As the conflict continued, both sides found themselves trapped inside a story larger than any individual person. It had become a global spectacle fueled by emotion, loyalty, outrage, and endless curiosity. And perhaps that was the biggest twist of all. The real battle was no longer taking place behind palace walls. It was unfolding in public view across screens, headlines, and conversations around the world. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted resolution. But the deeper people looked, the more complicated the story seemed to become. And as another wave of rumors began to emerge, many royal watchers were left wondering whether this chapter was ending or whether an even bigger storm was only just beginning.